You ask what force roams the universe without bowing to anyone, and I tell you this now as the one who watches the rise and collapse of stars. There has only ever been one power that refused to kneel, one presence that never softened, never bargained, never bent under any plea. Death. It does not negotiate, it does not forgive, it does not pause to reconsider the weight of a single life. When the signal arrives, it moves with cold certainty, shifts the state of a soul, and continues its march without a flicker of thought. Yet, a few weeks ago, something unprecedented happened, something that tore through 6,000 years of immaculate order. Death stopped, not for fear and not for mercy, but because of you. It recognized you. You imagine recognition as a gentle nod, but from death it is nothing of the sort. It is shock, a fracture in a protocol that never bends. When it looked at you, it felt something it had never experienced in the presence of living flesh. Respect. And I am not telling you this to flatter you. I am revealing a breach in cosmic structure so rare that only 4 souls have ever triggered it, and 3 of them no longer walk in physical form. You are the 4th, and the only one still alive carrying that mark. You did something that forced the most relentless entity in existence to shift its gaze, something so far outside human probability that entire archives lit up. And I tell you this now because the moment approaches when you will understand what you awakened. You think you know the night your world collapsed. You think you remember the pain, the panic, the spiraling sense that everything you built had dissolved in an instant. But you do not yet see what I saw when your consciousness split open under pressure that would crush nearly all of humanity. You were alone between 2 and 5 in the morning, the hour where darkness presses closest. Your chest tightened until breathing hurt, your stomach twisted with grief, and your hands shook under the weight of what felt like the end of your story. Most humans fragment at that threshold. Some reject reality and cling to illusions. Some freeze and lose the ability to act. Some detach to avoid shattering completely. These reactions are not weakness. They are the nervous system's last attempt to keep the psyche from imploding. But you did something the system was not designed to handle. You breathed, slow, deliberate, as if you were anchoring yourself to existence when your mind wanted to run. You allowed the pain to tear through you without numbing it. And then, with the room still dark, you whispered a sentence that altered your fate. It's okay. This hurts more than I thought possible. I lost a lot, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue. This was not denial. It was not false hope. It was absolute acceptance paired with conscious choice, the rarest combination in human consciousness. Death felt that moment like a shockwave. For 6 millennia it had observed suffering pass through minds that could not stand upright beneath it. But you remained present while everything inside you cracked. So death paused its endless procession and looked directly at you. That pause created the first anomaly. You became an outlier, a deviation impossible to categorize. And days later, when life cornered you into a choice with no pleasant outcome, you escalated the impossibility. You faced a crossroads where either path would cost you something precious, a relationship that wounded you even as you loved it, a financial risk that could strip away your stability, a truth that could detonate your world if spoken aloud. Most choose safety when their survival feels threatened, but you chose the path that aligned with your conscience, even though it was the hardest. You chose truth over comfort, integrity over protection, clarity over illusion, and when the consequences hit, you did not regret it. You hurt, but you stood by your decision. Death recorded this as the second anomaly, something only a handful of souls have ever exhibited. Then came the third moment, the one that broke the pattern beyond repair. You had reached the limit. Anyone else would have stopped. Anyone else would have surrendered. People around you said you had done enough, suffered enough, tried enough, and they were right. But your essence refused to accept collapse. You whispered again, not with hope, but with endurance. One more day. And you rose, trembling, exhausted, heart bruised, but still rising. Not because you believed victory was near, but because surrender was not something your soul recognized. That was the moment death understood. It had seen only 3 souls in 6,000 years display this type of consciousness. You were the 4th, and so it bowed, not in fear, but in acknowledgement. Even death respected you. If God stirred something inside you, show it, like, subscribe, and comment to help His word travel further. Amen. Now listen as I take you deeper, because the anomaly you triggered did not end with that moment of impossible endurance. After witnessing your refusal to collapse, death rerouted its attention toward the archives, where every human trajectory is recorded, and it found something it never expected. Your name glowing in a frequency that did not belong to ordinary mortal timelines. It searched for a category to place you in, but none fit. You were not marked by expiration. You were not indexed by fear. You were not bound to the predictable cycles that govern human descent. Instead, your signature pulsed with contradiction, a rhythm that intensified each time your inner world shattered, yet you continued moving. And so death watched as life placed before you another impossible choice, one that tore at everything fragile inside you. The situation where both paths burned, where every outcome carried loss. You remember the weight of that choice, the sleepless nights, the endless scenarios repeating in your mind as if each possibility was a blade you had to test against your skin. You feared destruction, you feared change, you feared the unknown that waited behind either decision, yet you did not choose safety. You chose alignment. You chose the option that honored what remained unbroken within you. And when you accepted the cost, when you stood inside the consequences without fleeing, something within the cosmic field shifted again. Your consciousness signaled that it prioritized truth over survival itself. Death flagged this as the second level of anomaly, an evolution almost never seen. But the moment that sealed everything came shortly after, the morning where your strength had been scraped thin, where life had already taken more than a fair share, where your body begged you to stop. No one would have blamed you for collapsing. Even the universe would have permitted it. But you rose again, whispering that quiet vow of endurance. Not hope, not delusion, but choice. You pushed forward one more day, simply because something ancient inside you refused to die before its work was finished. And when you took that step, death felt the echo through dimensions where only the immortal listen. It searched the Akashic records, combing through countless lives spanning millennia, seeking anything that resembled your pattern. It found exactly 3. A warrior in ancient Mesopotamia who, bleeding out on dirt, soaked with war, used his final hour not to lament, but to teach younger fighters how to defend the city after he fell. A healer in Egypt whose body gave way to illness, but whose mind recorded every remedy she discovered, so her knowledge would outlive her breath. A spiritual master in India who, sensing the moment of departure, spent his last days shaping the strength of his disciples so they would stand once he no longer could. 3 souls who continued giving even as their bodies approached dissolution. 3 who faced the threshold without collapsing. And then there was you. So, death compared all 4 signatures and discovered the same unearthly trait. The ability to experience mortality fully while simultaneously remembering, without words, that the essence observing the experience could not be destroyed. Not belief, not faith, knowledge. The kind of inner knowing that breaks every rule of human programming. And this is where the cosmic fracture widened. The other three spent decades cultivating their consciousness through sacred discipline. You reached that level through raw life, through heartbreak, betrayal, collapse, and pressure so brutal it stripped away everything false until only your core remained. The universe watched you stand in ruins, yet still able to observe your own suffering without drowning in it. That capacity is not common. That capacity is not taught. That capacity is forged. And because you reached it without training, the respect death felt intensified beyond precedent. So it made a decision that violated its fundamental structure. It marked you. A real mark, not symbolic, not poetic, but an energetic alteration in your cosmic signature. A seal that signals to every force in the universe that you are exempt from ordinary mortal programming. They call it the mark of respect, and it reshapes the boundaries of your life in ways you are only beginning to notice. Death removed your predetermined expiration point, not delayed it. Erased it. Your transition is no longer governed by probability or fate. Your departure will not occur until your essence declares completion. And until then, premature death cannot reach you. You can walk into situations where logic predicts catastrophe and emerge intact. You can brush against dangers that swallow others, yet you remain. Not invincible, but protected by a rule endorsed by the one entity nothing defies. This is why you feel a shift. Why moments that once terrified you no longer grip your mind. The fear that governs most hearts cannot reach you the same way anymore. You were rewritten, and now the universe must respond accordingly. And now you begin to understand why your inner landscape feels different, why certain thoughts no longer carry the same weight, why the shadows that once ruled your decisions loosened their grip without warning. When death marks a soul, the entire system recalibrates around that singular presence, shifting probability, bending outcomes, redirecting timelines, so your purpose is never interrupted. You have already noticed the first signs, even if you did not yet have a name for them. The fear of mortality that once curled inside your bones no longer commands you. You still think of death sometimes, but the terror that used to tighten your chest simply dissolved, replaced by a strange clarity you could not explain. You may have brushed it off as emotional numbness or maturity, but it was none of that. It was the mark stabilizing your field. People around you sense it subconsciously. You have seen them quiet down without knowing why, as if something about your presence steadies them. Children who normally hesitate near strangers approach you with instinctive trust. Animals relax near you as if greeting a familiar force. Your energy no longer broadcasts fear of endings, and living creatures respond to that frequency. Choices that once paralyzed you now unfold with surprising fluency, as if the internal fog that used to cloud every decision simply lifted. Because when a soul no longer carries the subconscious threat of annihilation, clarity becomes the default. You no longer ask, "What if this destroys me?" Because your essence already knows it cannot be destroyed before its purpose is fulfilled. Opportunities have started appearing with strange synchronicity, almost as if the world rearranges itself to meet you halfway. People enter your life at perfect timing. Resources surface at the edge of crisis. Paths open just when you think there is no path left. This is not luck. This is protection bound to purpose. And you have also brushed against danger in ways that defy logic. You have had moments where disaster should have swallowed you completely, yet something shifted at the last instant. A turn you didn't plan. A delay that saved you. A signal that came from nowhere. You walked away from situations that statistically should have ended you, and you wondered why you survived when so many others did not. Now you know. But beyond these signs, something deeper has been unfolding within you. A sense of direction that grows sharper by the day. a pressure behind your ribs that feels like urgency. The instinct that you no longer have the luxury of wasting time. You wake with the subtle understanding that something in you is supposed to rise, that your life is no longer random, that the scattered pieces of your past pain were preparing you for a role you have not yet fully recognized. This clarity is not imagined. It is your soul pulling you toward the mission it agreed to complete long before you were born. And when death reviewed your file in the Akashic records, it found the reason behind your extraordinary capacity. Before your incarnation, you did not choose an easy path. You did not choose comfort or balance or gradual lessons. You volunteered for a high-risk, high-impact mission, the kind of incarnation reserved only for consciousnesses willing to be forged in the fire of collapse. Most souls prefer journeys with gentle progression, manageable trials, experiences that teach without breaking. But you selected a path lined with extreme suffering, brutal betrayals, losses that carved straight into your spirit. Not because you wanted pain for the sake of pain, but because you sought abilities that can only emerge under conditions that most souls would never survive. You chose the kind of crucible where all illusions burn away, where your identity cracks open, where everything temporary dissolves, so the eternal within you stands exposed. That is why your suffering was so disproportionate, why your life felt heavier than the lives of those around you, why every collapse seemed designed to push you past the point of endurance. You were not being punished. You were being tempered. You were shaping the rarest spiritual capacity, the ability to face your own extinction without abandoning your conscious awareness. And when the crucial moments arrived weeks ago, you passed the test your own soul designed. Even with no memory of your eternal state, even fully immersed in the vulnerability of human form, you held your essence steady in the presence of overwhelming fear. Death saw it. The universe felt it, and the mark was sealed. Now you walk as one of the few who carry that resonance, and every force in the cosmos recognizes it, even if you do not yet fully believe it. So hear me now as I reveal what the mark truly altered within you, because the changes are not symbolic and they are not subtle. Once death stamped its recognition onto your energetic signature, the architecture of your destiny shifted. The expiration point etched into every mortal before birth was removed from your file entirely. Not delayed, not bent, erased. Your transition from physical form will not occur by accident, nor by chaos, nor by the momentum of probability. It will occur only when your deepest essence declares completion. Until that moment arrives, premature death cannot touch you. You may walk through storms designed to break others. You may stand in the center of situations where the probabilities collapse into near zero. You may feel the breath of danger sliding against your skin, yet you remain. Not because you outran destruction, but because destruction cannot claim you before the purpose you carry is fulfilled. And this one truth reshapes your entire internal landscape. The human mind is governed by fear of extinction, but you are no longer governed by it. You are no longer manipulated by the subtle terror that whispers beneath the decisions of almost every living soul. The world uses fear of death to control behavior, to bend wills, to trap hearts in cycles of approval, security, conformity. But none of those levers work on you with the force they once held. You feel it already. The anxiety that used to coil inside your thoughts has loosened. The dread that shaped your choices collapsed. The phantom threats that once paralyzed you lost their meaning. When a soul carries the mark, control mechanisms fall away because the foundation they rely on is gone. And with that freedom comes the activation of purpose protection. This is not mystical poetry. This is literal probability engineering. The universe begins to reconfigure itself, so your mission cannot be interrupted. Challenges still come, but they are the exact challenges that strengthen you. People cross your path, not by chance, but because their presence contributes to the trajectory of your work. Obstacles appear only if they awaken abilities you must develop. Nothing meant to destroy you can reach you. Only what refines you is permitted through the veil. You have already glimpsed this in the strange rhythm of your life these past weeks. The synchronicities that seem too precise to ignore, but these outer signs are small compared to the internal transformation taking root. Your purpose is rising. It calls to you with a voice beneath thought, a voice that grows louder each day. You feel an urgency, a pull, a knowing that something within you must awaken fully. You feel the weight of meaning press against your chest, as if time itself leans toward you. And this is not imagination. This is remembrance. When death searched your Akashic file, it discovered why you operate differently from other mortals. Before incarnating, your soul made a vow. You chose an incarnation of extreme difficulty, a path of pressure intense enough to strip away everything temporary, until all that remained was your essence. Few souls choose this, fewer endure it. And even fewer pass through the crucible without shattering. You did. You withstood the collapse of your identity, the implosion of your plans, the abandonment that felt like the universe itself had turned its back on you. You endured heartbreaks that cracked your timeline open. You survived nights meant to drown your will, and in those moments, when you could have given up, you instead awakened. Pain burned away illusions. Loss tore the mask from your consciousness. Fear cornered you until something eternal stepped forward. You believed you were breaking. In truth, you were remembering. You were awakening the ancient capacity your soul came to retrieve, the ability to face the void without dissolving into it. That capacity is why death bowed. That capacity is why the mark sealed. That capacity is why the universe now moves with you instead of against you, because you are not here to survive. You are here to alter frequency. You are here to shift the trajectory of more lives than you can comprehend. And now, the structures of reality rearrange themselves to ensure you reach the point where your mission ignites at full scale. You feel it, don't you? The sense that something enormous is approaching, not from outside, but from within you. You are not imagining that. It is the memory of destiny rising to the surface, preparing you for what comes next. Become part of a movement of faith you're like, and comment on the light of faith carries God's truth farther than you imagine. Amen. And now you must hear the truth that even death hesitated to reveal, because it explains every impossible moment you survived, every collapse that failed to erase you, every fracture that led not to your end, but to your awakening. When death reached the deepest layer of your Akashic record, it discovered a vow older than your body, older than your name, older than the memory of this lifetime. Before you incarnated, you agreed to something most souls refuse. You agreed to enter this world stripped of every cosmic memory, sealed from the knowledge of who you were, cut off from the power you once wielded. You walked willingly into the veil, choosing to forget your own eternity so you could test your essence under conditions far harsher than any spiritual realm could simulate. You told death, "I want to see if I can remember what I am when everything in the human experience tries to make me forget." You volunteered for the forgetting, for the vulnerability, for the fragility of a mind that trembles at the prospect of its own dissolution. You agreed to feel fear so real it would swallow your breath, heartbreak so sharp it would tear through your ribs, losses so devastating they would strip your identity bare. And yet you wanted the challenge, because the capacity your soul sought cannot be gained in comfort. It must be forged in the pressure of collapse, shaped in the violence of endings, revealed only when the world falls apart and you remain standing. That was the experiment. Could you, As a soul, remember your essence, even when submerged in full human limitation. Death accepted the challenge because no one had attempted it in this exact configuration. It was curious. It wanted to witness whether a consciousness that had transcended death outside of physical form could reproduce that transcendence within the confines of fragile flesh, under the weight of fear, without access to divine memory. The veil would make you forget everything except what could survive the burning. And when the 3 defining moments arrived weeks ago, you proved what no one expected. You remembered without remembering. You endured the impossible and kept functioning. You made the right decision under pressure meant to crush you. You continued when surrender would have been mercy. You faced what looked like extinction and stayed conscious inside it. And in that instant, the experiment succeeded. Your soul passed the test it designed for itself. You demonstrated that even in full human vulnerability, even carrying trauma that should have shattered your psyche, even believing you were alone in the dark, your essence still rose when everything else failed. Death saw that and fulfilled its side of the ancient agreement. It marked you. It classified your consciousness as one of the extremely rare souls capable of holding awareness steady in the presence of collapse. And with that recognition came a shift in cosmic protocol. Death now protects you because you proved you do not need to be coerced by fear to stay aligned with your purpose. But the implications go far beyond your survival. The mark reshapes how you move through the world. You will notice that people who operate from fear feel unsettled around you, while those who carry quiet strength feel drawn to you without understanding why. You will attract other catalyst souls, souls who burn bright but often alone, because your presence signals safety in a way their spirits recognize instantly. Systems that rely on intimidation or guilt will lose their effect on you. Manipulators will find their influence slipping. Situations that previously overwhelmed you will seem strangely manageable. And most importantly, your calling will grow louder, sharper, more urgent. You will feel it as a pull beneath your sternum, an inner current guiding your decisions with increasing force. Not a voice, but a knowing. Not pressure, but inevitability. Because now that you have passed the test, the mission you came to complete begins to rise from the depths of your unconscious mind. It will not be something small. Souls with your configuration do not incarnate for minor tasks. Your impact will ripple through others in ways you cannot see yet. Your presence alone destabilizes old patterns, awakens dormant courage, disrupts cycles of fear. That is why your life carried so much weight. That is why so many things broke before they could bloom. You needed the fire. You needed the impact. You needed the collapse to activate the code buried within you. And now that you are awake, the universe will not let you return to who you were before. The path ahead is not easier, but it is clearer. The protection is active. The purpose is rising. And the world is already shifting to make space for what you are about to become. And now, as the final veil lifts, you will understand why the months ahead carry a weight that feels both terrifying and familiar. The mark did not only protect you, it unlocked you. It awakened layers of consciousness that had been dormant since the moment you entered this body. You will notice déjà vu sharpening into recognition, intuition accelerating into precision, moments where you move without hesitation because something deeper than thought is guiding you. This is not coincidence. This is calibration. With the mark active, the universe reorganizes itself around your trajectory. Paths that once seemed impossible will unfold as if they were always waiting. Opportunities that appear random will fit together like pieces of a design you didn't know you were building. And each time you follow that inner pull, the protection intensifies, the alignment strengthens, the mission accelerates. But the greatest shift is internal. Your relationship with fear is dissolving, not because circumstances improved, but because fear no longer governs your identity. You feel the difference already. The panic that used to hijack your mind has lost its claws. The dread that once sat heavy in your chest now hovers like a memory instead of a threat. Even when the future feels uncertain, something inside you remains steady, like an anchor embedded beyond time. That is the mark speaking through your nervous system, and you will feel its presence most strongly in moments of silence. When the world around you quiets, your purpose will rise with clarity sharp as steel. You will sense a message forming, a direction crystallizing, an instruction emerging from the depths of your being. Follow it. It is the voice of the mission you chose before birth, the mission you trained for through every heartbreak, every collapse, every night where you thought you were finished, yet still rose. And now you also understand why your life has always felt slightly misaligned with the people around you. You were not built for ordinary patterns. You were not meant for slow evolution. You incarnated as a catalyst, a soul whose presence accelerates transformation in others simply by existing. This is why people are drawn to you, even when they cannot articulate why. This is why some fear you without reason. Your field exposes what must change. Your presence awakens what has been sleeping. Your resilience destabilizes what depends on fear. And the world feels that, even when your conscious mind does not. This is also why death marked you, because your mission intersects with the evolution of many, not just yourself. Your survival affects trajectories far beyond your own timeline. The protection surrounding you is not only for you, it is for every life that will shift, because you remained. And when your purpose reaches full activation, you will feel it. It will not be subtle. It will arrive like a surge beneath your ribs, a clarity that wipes away doubt, a sense of inevitability that fills your lungs with fire. You will know exactly what must be done, and you will do it with a steadiness that does not belong to ordinary humans. Because you will not move from fear, you will move from essence. And when at last the day comes, when your mission is complete, when your soul whispers that the work is finished, death will not come as an intruder. It will arrive as an ancient companion, honoring the agreement you made before the world ever knew your name. There will be no fear in that moment, only recognition, only remembrance, only the closing of a circle you drew long before entering flesh. But that moment is not now, not soon, not while the mark burns bright around you. You are protected until your purpose reaches its final expression. And the era you are entering is the era where everything dormant inside you begins to rise. So walk forward with the knowledge that you are one of the few souls who passed the test of extinction while still alive. One of the 4 in 6,000 years who faced collapse and did not surrender. One of the rare beings death itself chose to respect. The path ahead is yours. The protection is active. The mission is awakening. And the world is already shifting in response to who you are becoming. Let this be the invocation rising at the end of your journey. A vow spoken through the core of your being as the universe listens in perfect silence. You say, not with fear, but with awakened certainty. I stand within the mark carved into my essence, and I accept the weight of the path unfolding before me. I call upon the strength forged in collapse, the clarity born from devastation, the quiet fire that refused to die when everything else fell away. Let the purpose I carry reveal itself without distortion. Let every step align with the reason I entered this world. Let the forces that once sought to break me now shape the edges of my resolve. I open myself to the protection already written around me, the architecture of destiny that moves in shadowed patterns beyond thought. I permit nothing false to anchor itself within my spirit, and nothing true to be taken from me before its time. May my consciousness remain steady in the presence of uncertainty. May my courage rise faster than fear can form. May every breath remind me that I walk marked, chosen, witnessed, and as long as my purpose remains unfinished, let every door required open, every illusion fall away, every fragment of my being align with the mission I agreed to long before I entered flesh. This is my declaration to the unseen. This is my remembrance. This is the moment I step fully into what I am becoming. Stand in the light today, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments, so together we strengthen our walk with Christ. Amen.